So, I'd like to talk a little bit about the electronics of the bass. You've got two pickups on this particular one. This one being a jazz style pickup and this one being a split pickup. This one is going to be a little bit quieter, a little bit softer and subdued. And this one's going to be a lot louder and have a lot more mid-range. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of each. As you can hear, it is a microphone. Really shouldn't tap it, but that's an example. All right, now if we switch to the other pickup. So that's kind of a difference. On this one, you can actually get a little bit of this one and a little bit of this one, so you can kind of blend your sound and go a little bit further. So it's got a little bit of punch and a little bit of soft going on. That's typically how I like to play. It also has low, medium, and high boost knobs, so you can control how much high end is coming through, how much low end is coming through. And again, that's because this particular bass has electric active pickups in it. So one thing you got to kind of remember is if you have an electric bass that has active pickups, when you plug the plug in, it activates the electricity in there. So if you're done playing your bass, unplug it or else you're going to kill your battery. You have to take the screws off the back of your guitar, go in there and change the battery, put it back on. So remember, if you have an active electronic bass, unplug it when you're done playing. So now that we've talked a little bit about the electronics, let's talk about some playing styles. Open strings, which we talked about before, E, A, D, and G, which would be E. If you just leave it completely open, that's what you're going to hear. Now, if you press, you generally press right behind the fret. So as you see, there are these lines across that actually slightly raised above the fretboard. When you press it, you're not on the fret, you're just behind the fret because you're using the fret itself to break the point where the string is happening. And it's kind of a little confusing, but remember you want to be right behind the fret, not on it, and not completely in the middle, because then you'll hear a weird buzzing sound. I'm sure I'll fake it at some point and you'll notice. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is the shorter you make the string, the higher it goes. So open string is obviously the lowest pitch. And as you shorten the length of the string, it gets higher. From here to here, higher. So it's resonating with only this much of the string. Now, so far I've been playing mainly with just the fingers, which is, as we said, completely normal, very standard bass playing is with a finger. Now if you choose to use a pick, I choose to use a large pick so that I can have a lot of strength and a lot of control over what's going on. The pick can be in either a down or an up motion, or it can be an alternation, or all down or all up. It just kind of depends on what you're doing, where you're going, and what you want to accomplish. And these are all things that you would learn more about the more you do it, the more you're in situations. You talk with your bandmates or a director of some sort, and they will help clue you in on what particular style that they're looking for. But in this case, we're just kind of giving them some examples. So a pick is going to be a lot more percussive sounding. There's going to be a lot more high end. It's going to have a thicker front end of the attack. So you'll hear the note resonate really quick and then kind of blossom afterwards. As opposed to there's a little bit more of a click, a little bit more of a high end going on. I have a bass playing style where I'm very loose, playing with my hands and moving things around and letting notes ring or not ring, or partially stopping a string from vibrating. And that's just developed over time and comes with being comfortable with what you're doing. So even if you hear those terrible buzzing noises when you play a bass, don't be afraid, just keep going for it. And as your fingers get stronger, as your muscle memory gets better, your fingers will go to the right places more often and you will get a better tone and a better sound. It's like everything in life, you just got to keep practicing and keep going at it. So, as I was talking, we're going to do like some strumming patterns with open strings. So, I'm just going to play a couple of things for you and try to talk about it afterwards. So you might have noticed that I was doing a thing called palm muting. Palm muting is where you put your palm on the string and it mutes or deadens the vibration of the string that's going on. Palm muting can also be kind of like a hitting effect. It's also a little bit of the beginning concept of slap bass, where you are hitting the strings hard or plucking the strings much harder than you would in the standard plucking or picking fashion. So let me demonstrate a couple little bit of slap techniques. Typically you're using your thumb. You're going to hit on this side right around the fret, the base of the fretboard. Sometimes I get a little off and I might hit here, and then you might accidentally hit the pickup. So I have actually broken pickups by hitting them so hard that you can go into the bass. So just try to be aware of what you're doing when you're playing, and I know that sometimes it's a lot of fun, you get carried away. Anyway, here's a technique of slap bass. So I'm alternating between the first and second finger depending on which string I want to pop, but typically the thumb is going to be your downbeat slap and your pop is going to be the up. So. Cool. What I did just there at the end is known as a pull or hammer-on, where you hit one note and finger another note. Or a pull-off is when you hit a note and let go. Be a pull-off. These are techniques that when you're putting stuff together, like say you're doing a line that's moving up or moving down, and you want to change the articulation. In this case, an articulation is picking, plucking, slapping, popping. That's a set of articulations that is in the vernacular for this instrument. Other instruments that I'm sure you'll learn about have different articulations.